One of the most exciting SUV comparisons is starting right now for you. This is the all-new BMW X3, and in this new generation, head-to-head to the Mercedes GLC. What can it actually do against the GLC? We're going to find out, because so much exciting, even more so. We did it in the previous generation, and now there's the new one, and we'll see how are the differences and so on. Everything, all details, exterior, interior and driving on the German Autobahn, of course, also with high speed and acceleration, with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the all-new X3, which has this really wide open double kidney. Some might say it's a pig nose. Yeah, but I think you get used to it, especially when you look at it in real life, and it looks really impressive with this really open design, optional illuminated double kidney as well, and a modern daytime running light design. And the base line, so to speak, the base look is always with the silver. It used to be the X line, but this is now the already standard look, so to speak. And I think it's nice. Tanzanite blue is the color here for today. We have Patagonia red, so it's the red or the blue pill. You remember it from the Matrix, of course, the Patagonia red for the Mercedes. This one AMG line, because they do not have any base spec in their test vehicle pool. So it is an AMG line in here, and it has then the Mercedes MicroStar pattern here. The other base trim wouldn't look too different, just that the front grille would have vertical fins, but the size of the front grille would then be the same. Optional for both, you can get Matrix LED. They're also both spec'd with it, and you can really see from the design difference that Mercedes more goes in a more sensual round direction, whereas BMW tries to be more angular, more German Bauhaus, more monolithic, as they call it here right now. So I think they are both beautiful from the exterior, but definitely this different design philosophy is very interesting. As for the side, we can first start here with the X3. So we have a length of about 4.76 meters or 187 inches. They are both not that different in the length. The GLC is a couple of centimeters or an inch shorter, but not major difference. Wheels 18 to 21 inch. 21 inch is even possible for this one here. These are, however, 19-inch wheels in this case. 21 inch with the GLC would only be possible for the AMG spec. And you can see they have a lot of wide single elements here. Suspension, you have base suspension or M Sport and M Sport Pack, and then adaptive suspension as an option, also available worldwide, or adaptive M suspension if you have the M50, for example. No air suspension available. That's a little bit different with the GLC, telling you soon more about that. We also make a special rear feature. Let's first of all focus on the side of the GLC, because on the technology side there is a rear exit steering available in a pack together with the Airmatic air suspension. But we only get that in Europe. So on the US market, you get stuck with the base suspension, which is also not bad in a way. But then on the Northern American market, the X3 has the more sophisticated suspension. On the European market, the GLC would have the more sophisticated suspension. Interesting, right? The rear exit steering, by the way, there the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels. And this is a very impressive system that reduces the turning circle massively. Design-wise, you can see more round shapes here. Once again, these side steps here, they look very impressive. They're an option. You do not have to go for them, actually. Also 19-inch wheels mounted on this one here. In this case then with a black scheme. Both tires are winter tires, by the way, so if you think they look a little bit balloonish, that's because the filming of this video here is winter in Germany. Rear comparison, super interesting, whereas with the X3 we have this more upright monolithic design, so they try to reduce the amount of elements here. Then three-dimensional tail lamps, and here you can see here X320, the eye is not anymore for the petrol, because they reserve the eye for the electric vehicles. And in the lower part here, the silver contrast for this base look, which was the X-Line, but it's always base X-Line now, so to speak. And also more this cut right here, whereas the GLC has this more like raindrop design, more round here in the styling, also modern from the rear lamps, but just different styling. And yeah, here I think there's this black layer here. They try to build a bridge between the two lights, but I think it's very much cooler than when it goes through with the light signature. What do you think? Then the lower part, Autogefühl fake exhaust police alert, because this is a pure fake exhaust. The real exhaust is underneath, and the X3 more has the philosophy now, what Audi also recently said, they want to go now, hey, like the performance model has the visible exhaust like the M50, and if it's not a performance model, then they're just underneath and they have a clean design on the outside without using fake exhaust. But yeah, that's not the case with Mercedes yet. Turning indicators in the front, yeah, it looks really impressive for both actually. And with the BMW, I have this pulsing design and these dual layers here replacing the daytime running light. Yeah, this pulsating design is has been some who like it and some who don't. Yeah, I don't care that much, honestly. And here also nice all the way, very visible with the Mercedes GLC, also replaces a part of the daytime running light and this double layer on top. And also nice to see that here from the digital light, if you have that option, then here you also see this additional blue design here. And not to forget here the illuminated double kidney. It's an option, you don't have to go for it, but I think it looks really striking, especially when it's getting darker and darker, doesn't it? Really peculiar here, the small Mercedes stars, the tiny ones on the surface, and then the turning indicator is behind it, or the hazard lights. And with BMW it's more stretched, a little bit slimmer, but still both are very visible, I have to say. From the whole arrangement, I think in the rear it looks a little bit cooler. Here it looks more modern, this integration, and also the whole unit. Yeah, but it's definitely a matter of preference. Which one would you prefer in the rear design-wise? Tell me in the comments. Engines, we have 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engines, also in the test here today as a comparison. The 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol is only available for the BMW X3 and the M50. With the Mercedes, the top AMG spec is also a 2-liter 4-cylinder. Then on the diesel side, there they both offer 2-liter 4-cylinder and 3-liter 6-cylinders. And there are also plug-in hybrid versions available, and they both offer good electric range. This one here even available with a diesel plug-in hybrid. And if you want to know the exact specs of all the engines and so on, we have a separate comment, and also in the video description there you will find all different specs today. All-wheel drive with both vehicles here today, and if you have the all-wheel drive system, then they're always also rear-wheel biased. That's actually the same for both vehicles. Now to the interior, both key fobs here, and they're both very nice in design and also in the feeling. The Mercedes one is a little bit heavier, so yeah, depending on your liking. Then we start with the X3 here. The handles are here integrated, but you can grab underneath, and they also come towards you. And door closing sound, solid. Even more so in the rear. Heard better ones, but definitely not bad at all. Then inside of the doors. So the top part here is somewhat soft. Here as well, it's like leatherette alike. This is new here, so this is for the memory seating and also for the vent control. You slide then here. Yeah, but is that... Not so sure about that solution. And also here, this door handle, I mean, it looks nice from the first hand, but then, yeah, I think it could be made a little bit more premium-like. Here, there's the ambient lighting integration already at the inside of the doors. That's nice. And then no covering at the inside door pockets whatsoever. That needs to be improved, definitely. And then we have this all-new interior. Oh, no. Oh, wait a minute. There's no sill protection here, like this entry badge. Okay, so that's missing as well. However, here, the new steering wheel, I think it looks really modern. We know that from the iX, from the Form, for example, also based in the 5 Series. Still some real buttons on the steering wheel. And this flat bottom steering wheel is also animal-free. So it's a new material, high-grade leatherette, and it feels really nice. It's soft, also dampened underneath. So that is well done. Also new seats. And these here are the fabric seats. They are available in Europe as a base seat. Econier, it's called, that material. Not available on the Northern American market, where you directly start with the high-grade perforated leatherette. And both are nice. And some are skeptic about fabric seats, but I have to say they are extremely comfortable. So I can just applaud them for that. Really good also for tall people. Yeah, but the high-grade leatherette they are offering, this Veganza, is also good material. You can also wipe it clean, easier, but they are not too sensitive here, the fabric seats either, but they're both good choices. Then here, headroom, still good space left, 189, 6 for 2. This is a panoramic roof, which is fixed. So what you can do is, just start the ignition here. There we go. There it is. Sorry. Here. So this is just a fixed glass roof, and then you can apply this shade there. And it's always about pro and con, definitely. So it can be more silent than the roof that you can actually open. Then again, I mean, at least you have this shade there. It's always pro and con, you know, but you can also just get it with the fixed roof. Cockpit-wise, it's interesting that they have a different philosophy, beginning with the X3 here. So we have this horizontal layout from the displays, so 2 displays and this one screen. And here is also soft from the dashboard. You can either get this one, like this leatherette-like dashboard, or you could also get a fabric dashboard, no matter, like, yeah, just what you prefer actually. Here the glove box is really, really tiny, I have to say. It can hardly fit anything in there. It's probably dampened, like it falls down slowly, but it's super, yeah, you can fit some microfiber towels in there, you know, for the for the screen, and that's basically it.
The Parkscheibe.
Oh yes, the German Parkscheibe, of course. You know, like the park meter, which you always need in Germany when you park at some parking spots which require a Parkscheibe. Yeah, listen and repeat, Parkscheibe. So it is a very clean atmosphere. That's what I like on the one hand. On the other hand, if we compare the outgoing model, there are no physical dials anymore, for example, for the climate. So the climate unit is then here in the screen. It is always in that position, visible. Here you click then, for example, also for seat heating, steering wheel heating and so on. It's not very complicated, but it would, to me, be easier to have a direct access to that, and there would be also space for that, basically. Here, ambient lighting-wise, you also see in the middle and also here in that lower middle console here, they want to be on par with Mercedes. You know, Mercedes has been going all the way out with ambient lighting, like here, bang, 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 and 1,000 colors. And some say it's too much, but now BMW said, like, yeah, we also want to offer more ambient lighting to the customers. And I think it looks cool. And you have different funny effects for that as well. We can also show you that later when it's a little bit darker, even more so. This wide open area here, by the way, is also interesting. So on the left side, this is for the inductive charging. And it also has a ventilation effect here. This is like this small hole.
But it's very loud.
Yeah, it's kind of loud. I mean, when it's stationary. When you're driving like more than 50 kilometers an hour, you don't hear it anymore. And on the right side, this just for putting smartphones there. You
but
cannot.
It's nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice, but it's not like with the Tesla, for example, that you can charge on both sides. That's not possible. But you can also use the USB-C chargers. This is a nice like imprint here, X3, and then adaptive cup holders. This middle console here, you still have the possibility to control the infotainment system here from below. And this also sounds nice. So this is a good possibility for driving mode selection. You have to press here and then select the driving mode. And this is possible either then in the screen, or you again use this lower control knob and then select the driving mode. Still a little bit complicated, but at least for some things you can still use that lower one here. The shifting, automatic shifting lever is here, drive and reverse, so that's simple enough. And for your elbows, that's soft enough, and you can put this one open. You have a lot of space here underneath, but there are also the material choices, like this one. This needs to be better, come on BMW. So the thing is that the base things here are really good. And to me, the best thing is that the seating comfort is excellent. I would say really segment leading in the seating comfort, both on the fabric seats and on the high-grade leatherette seats. But some minor details, like the materials like used inside here or at the inside of the doors, this is something where some accountants might have said, yeah, people don't see that. And many maybe don't see that indeed. But people like us and who appreciate the details in premium cars, they really want that. And that is something you can still do that, you know. You don't need to change the whole vehicle for that. It's still possible. So I hope that by our feedback and by your feedback, BMW can improve that, for example, with the next model year or something like that. Because like the base impression from here is still really high class when you just look at it, you know, and then the arrangement and so on. So I'm still satisfied, but they need to fix some minor details to make it perfect. And here the steering wheel, up and down, in and out, so really wide way. You can find a good position for anyone with that. Driver's perspective here, nice from the quality. Here for setting the cruise control. Press and hold set, by the way, to deactivate the speed chime, the speed warning chime. And here plus minus for the volume. Instruments look clean like this. When you start the engine, they come alive. You can also pick different layouts for that and so on. And then together with a dog, here the head-up display. Checking for shit under the shoes. I think that went well. Hey, and the GLC is also commenting on that. Infotainment system, yeah, sometimes with just like an app overload, but the vehicle apps, these are just the vehicle apps, you know, and then you can change some driving settings and so on. Climate unit, as I said, here, and then here for the seat heating and the steering wheel heating. Fair enough. And Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration is cool, like all over the place. The system could be a little bit quicker, but overall quite reliable. Ambient lighting in the X3, definitely an upgrade here and also at the inside of the doors. So that looks pretty cool. And it also changes accordingly to the driving modes, first of all. And then you have this build up. That looks pretty amazing, doesn't it? Here, for example, also when I go to the sport mode, you have this build up from the outside, then to the inside here. And then we have either red, and then there it goes with the M colors, blue and red. That's such an amazing effect. I really love that, actually. And also another effect is even more visible when I have it blue like this. And when I hit the hazard lights, then we also have this effect here. So why not? Symbolizing it also on the interior. So overall, yeah, now they are on par with Mercedes with the ambient lighting effect. Rear seats here with the X3. Soft touch here on the top part, no cover at the lower part. And then we also have the fabric layout here. Again, would be in the high leatherette optional or standard in the Northern American market. Isofix here, you can clip these open and then just put them back again. So the middle part here with adaptive cup holders, that's also nicely done. And this can be also put down as a ski hatch. So sliding bench, no. Controlling the angle of the back seats, let's see. No, actually. And yeah, I think that should be possible, actually. Then headroom with this panoramic roof. Here at the side, there's a little still there, and then more to the panoramic roof. But it works for tall adults. And legroom, yeah, also works here for me when I'm driving. Remember, as a tall person, I always have the seat quite back. Not extremely, you know, but yeah, we have to remember that one here, how it looks like in a GLC then. So considering the length of the vehicle, not the best using of space, let's take it that way. But the seating position overall is decent and comfortable. Middle part here also works. Yeah, it's not too hard or something, that works. And this middle console in the lower part, 2 USB-C chargers. And you also have like this own climate unit for the rear with a touchscreen. Then here, rear seats GLC. Cover here on top, no cover, hard pack on the lower part. The angle of the opening of the doors kind of similar, I would say. Then the Isofix here in the lower part is a little bit different. Here, like the lower part is rubber and the top part is harder, and then you push them in like this, but then you have to like push them out again like that. Okay, about that.
Nothing for long nails.
Yeah, nothing for long nails indeed. Then here for the seats, that's interesting here. When you fold them, then this one goes a little bit more forward electrically. That's a great idea, right? That it doesn't fall against the seat. That's good. But you can see here also no adjustment of the. That goes back again. That's cool. So no adjustment of the angle or something. So no adjustment there. Then here in the middle parts, cup holders fold down like this. Here there's like an iPad, iPhone holder, or here then. These are the cup holders, interesting. Fold that back like that. And then the seating comfort in general from the rear part. So what I do feel is that also here the back part of the GLC is stiffer for your back. Headroom wise, yeah, I think it's comparable. At the side, once again, you have more headroom when you don't go for the panoramic roof. And knee room is also basically the same. You see, it was basically the same in the X3. I would say also rear seating comfort a little bit better for the X3, but space-wise, it doesn't make the biggest difference overall. Let's say with the let's check. So first, what first? Okay, first seating in the middle, and interesting. So I don't know, like because of this curve here, this is a little bit more complicated in the GLC because of the knees here. So the 4 adult comfort is comparable. from the space factor. But when you have 5 guys here in the rear, there it's easier with the X3. Interesting, wouldn't have expected that. Then here you also have a rear climate unit like this for the GLC as well. And in the lower part 2 USB-C chargers. Now the GLC, first of all, door handles, classic ones. Door closing sound is, let's try right here. Interesting. So door closing sound better with the X3, I have to say. Then instead of, yeah. Did you hear that differently?
Yeah.
Really?
Do it again.
Okay, now we really want to. Now we go back to the X3. We won't let this undiscussed. Right, right. Yeah. Just want to check that. What did you guys hear on camera? Then tell me in the comments. I feel like the X3 door closing sound feels a little bit more low frequency, more satisfying, you know. So do you agree now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I always agree.
Of course. Yeah, I just want to show. Then inside of the doors. So here is all the way covered and so on. Here the seat control is here at the inside of the doors actually, whereas with the BMW it's at the seat, and this cannot be moved in these new recent generations. Yeah, could be a better solution. And seat heating you directly activate here when the ignition would be on. Here there's also no covering at the lower part, just like a rubber background, at least that things don't slide that much down there. But it's a little bit more spacious. Like. Oh yes, we have these sill badges.
Oh, it's covered. Oh.
Ah, it's like
ASMR.
now. Oh, now we can directly check it out. Ah, there we go. We have a fresh badge here for you. Yeah, that's nice. Live on Autogefühl. Then steering wheel, this is here the AMG line steering wheel with 2 spokes. The base steering wheel would now also be available animal free with the GLC if you prefer that. Seats, this one here is the animal based material. You can however also order the Artico leatherette, and it's also the most popular choice actually for the GLC because it is softer. And especially like the 2 big bones underneath here, like when you will sit down, here it's just the harder material, and the Artico does give you more comfort indeed. The seats themselves, I feel they are a little bit narrow, a little bit smaller than in the X3. So for the direct comparison, I have to rate the softer Artico seats with the GLC because I know that they are better. But still, the base ergonomics with the X3 are better. So in any case, seating comfort goes to the X3. Then the headroom here, still comparable with a 199, 6x2. And this one here is a little bit different. We also have the equipped panoramic roof here, but in this case, it's one you can actually open. And once again, this has pro and con. It's nice to be able to leave some fresh air in. Then again, it's more prone to wind noise and possible rattling, leakage, possible like on the long ownership and so on. So maybe everything is fine, but maybe not. So, and then you can also add a shade. So when it's really hot, then you're also not left alone. There goes the shade then from the rear. So this is also available. Then the steering wheel up and down. In this case here, the electronic help, in and out. There we go. So yeah, both have enough options for seating and steering wheel definitely. Cockpit in the Mercedes GLC. This is very interesting because it's so different here with the vertical layout of the middle console and the screen. What I found interesting that they really dissolve the screen into the middle console. That's an interesting idea. Oh, and here the deco element. That's beautiful. Matte wood. Yeah. And just listen to that.
And it feels nice.
Yeah. Feels nice, doesn't leave fingerprints, less high gloss black. And you also have options here for the middle console that you, for example, go for this carbon fiber or metal alike scheme that you don't need the high gloss black overload, which we have in so many vehicles meanwhile. And also here these air vents, the turbine air vents, they have nice clicking sounds, ambient lighting is integrated. So I really like this styling here also of the turbine air vents. And it's really hard to pick the styling difference in a like or not like, because both are beautiful, I think, but in a different way. And then here, this is kind of like a separated unit then for the digital instruments. The shifting pedals. give a better feedback here in the GLC, by the way. So that's actually pretty cool. Then the glove box also slides down smooth. This more spacious. Yeah. This fits a lot of clutter, definitely bigger. And here also nice ambient light integration in a sensual line. Then this middle console here, you can slide this one open. The cup holders only have one adaptive element, and that means when the bottles are high and a little bit heavier, they wobble around. So the cup hole solution better in the X3. And also the inductive charging pad you have to put like way down there, and then there's like this rubber pad, and you put out your smartphone and then you have this in your hand. Yeah, this, you can take it out for cleaning and so on. There's also ventilation underneath, but I still don't get this solution. They've in so many vehicles, and it's just not practical to put a smartphone in and out there. USB-C charging is in there in the front, and also.
Destination has not been set yet.
Why? About that, yeah, random voice activation. That's always the case with a lot of brands. Here, slide open, split, 2 more USB-C chargers, and place for more clutter right there. So yeah, I think you have enough space. And then with the climate solution, also no physical dials, but they always appear here in the lower part, no matter what you do in the upper part. So you always have this nice integration. It's easy to select. So for a touchscreen solution, it's also visible, and it's also, let's say, a little bit better accessible than in the BMW, because here, when I'm just driving like this, here, like the distance from the steering wheel to the climate unit is not that much. So I think the climate is easier to control than here in the Mercedes. And you can already see here, they have this new app view for the infotainment system with the most recent upgrade here. So you have these large tiles. It looks, yeah, this you can also watch YouTube, for example. So a little bit better overview as for the infotainment. By the way, to cancel this speed warning chime you have in the EU as a law now, there are 2 possibilities with the Mercedes. With the BMW, yeah, press and hold the set button. With the Mercedes, you can, here in the top left screen, click that one, like Tesla is offering in Europe. Or you can also press and hold the mute button. That would also cancel this warning. Driver POV. Well, here you have the hashtag capacitive control. So this is like always one button field for everything, but the shifting pedals are awesome. Then here the gear switching is right here. There we go, drive and reverse. And then the digital instruments, also clear to read. In the middle part is adjustable, but you can also have this, let's say, analog view. And what's also interesting is that here you can switch the whole styling, and I like the special off-road gauges, actually. Then you also have a head-up display available, and the main infotainment unit, as I said, has a better overview now. Climate unit and here in the lower part, as we've shown to you. If you want to access more climate features, is also available right there. And the CarPlay integration looks like this. Oh, did you know with the recent upgrade you can also change the backgrounds of that? And Android Auto is also available. Here now when it's darker with the ambient light, really cool. Oh, here, the light also automatically goes on when I just wave my hand here. That's interesting, right? So here with the integration, there we go again. Here, central integration like this, and also with the air vents, and you can of course also change the colors. This then Leah goes out with her girls and drives around like this, or maybe also like that. Or what about the red ambient lighting? So all this orange, this should be red, right? It's really hard to hit the red. There we go. So that looks pretty cool, doesn't it? And now I've set the ambient light to green, because I can better show you when I use the climate unit in the lower part. Here it turns red or blue, then depending if I go on the left or on the right side. This is always one of my favorite shots here in the trunk comparison. There we go, using the force. I just love that. Sorry about that. So now, interesting that liter-wise, it's at 620 liters for the GLC, 570 for the X3. So liter figure-wise, the GLC wins. But it is also realistic in the measurements and so on. And where does that plus in liters come from? First of all, here, on this cover here, manual, cabin trolley fits in vertically as well. Then you see here is more than 1 meter or 40 inches in width. And the length here is, yeah, also almost 1 meter or 40 inches. This is just an additional cover you can use, but you don't have to. Then you have more space underneath, and this is like, oh, there's a shopping basket, and here, the space underneath. This is where the liter figure actually comes from. Interesting, right? And the height here is at about 73 centimeters or 29 inches. Big advantage here for the GLC is already this one, because it has an easy release here from the trunk. There we go. And the total length in here about 1 meters 80 or 71 inches. But now what it is about the X3. So first of all, see here the cabin trolley. Does it fit underneath? Let me just remove that for a second. So there we go. I would say, yeah, that's no problem at all. And then we begin with the height. We were at 73 with the GLC, and it's the same, yeah, 29 inches. So the height is basically identical. Then you can see, I feel the cutout here is a little bit further. And here the width, again, this is 1 meter 40 inches, but you see how much space there is to the right and left. So the cutout here is actually wider in the X3. Lengthwise, it's also similar here with 1 meter 40 inches. So I feel indeed wider here between the wheel arches. However, underneath then also some more space. There could of course be a replacement tire, but you have more space underneath with the GLC. But the real usable space on top here, there I feel as for the width, the X3 is even better. So although the GLC has better liter figure, it doesn't mean necessarily that you can use the trunk better. So I think both are nice there. By the way, this cover here in the X3 is, yeah, it's also fine. No problem as for that. The only problem with the X3 is that you don't have a quick release here. However, if you have long enough arms like I do, I can also reach over here and then fold it from here. So that's possible, otherwise go around. Still, a premium car at that price should, I feel, have this remote release. And the total length also around 180 in centimeters or 71 inches, maybe like a tiny bit shorter, but not the big difference. Sport mode. So that's the first acceleration, driving the X320 here, not called 20i anymore. Yeah, and in the US you directly start with the 30 version, a little bit more horsepower and also a little bit quicker than also in the acceleration figure. So we saw here, yeah, it wasn't the quickest acceleration. For most cases it will be fine, but it's definitely not a powerful engine, let's take it that way. Here now at 130 kilometers an hour, let's accelerate even further. Let's see how much power we still get left. $60. Yeah, see, it's okay. Noise insulation so far, I would say, is good. Looking forward, of course, how it will compare to the Mercedes GLC. But here we were at 160 kilometers an hour. Yeah, and I didn't really have to raise my voice. Here now at 120, so like 70 miles an hour, which is a typical motorway speed, also long term. It's doing also a fairly good job. The noise insulation expert says,
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
it's good. Gets the LEA stamp here for the noise insulation. That's always very, very important. No disturbing noise from the side mirrors. We know that if you have these special M side mirrors that have this, yeah, visually aerodynamic different design, that is not that good. So definitely stick with the base mirrors if you want the best noise comfort on the motorway. Then as for the driving modes, this one here is equipped with the adaptive suspension. So here in the sport mode is a little bit stiffer actually from suspension. That's good then for quicker driving. Also when I do some lane changing here, then I have a little bit more feedback. The car doesn't shake up too much. Steering feel could be better, honestly. So we know I have the problem with the BMW 3 Series, and they kind of somehow adapted the same thing here. And the philosophy behind it is they want their cars to feel lighter, whereas cars getting heavier and heavier because of more tech and safety system. Okay. And cars also integrate the voice assistant that sometimes pops on randomly, yes. And so when they make the steering lighter, they say, our cars feel lighter again. Yeah, but that's not what I really wish for, because here I would wish for a little bit more responsiveness. And that's even in the sport mode. So here in the normal driving modes, like personal or efficient or something, I mean, it doesn't differ that much. Here maybe it's a little bit lighter, but I feel, yeah, that I lack a feeling here. Yeah?
Yeah.
Leah likes
When
it.
it's,
Yeah.
light, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the one thing is that it's light to steer, but the other thing is that you can still combine it with the feeling, you know, like to the outsides, and it's a little bit too much, I feel. So steering calibration could be better, I feel. However, here, this base steering wheel, which is from the animal-free material, also in driving, it's really fantastic. It actually, ethical aspects aside, just from the comfort and quality aspects, this one here I would prefer also, just from the tactile, you know, aspect. So it's really good in the feeling. You can also shift down yourself, by the way, using the shifting pedals, even if you are in normal driving modes. And very important aspect here, you have the sport mode, and then you can also change the shifting mode. Not sure if you can see it on camera here, it says an S shifting mode, but that's not good for acceleration. Very important aspect here at BMW. So in the sport mode, the car's acceleration is the quickest. And the S shifting mode, which keeps the gear lower and so on, is just something for like maybe alpine roads, twisting roads and so on, that you stay in lower gear and you're maybe in higher RPM again before the next corner, but it's not the most efficient and best one and not the quickest one for the acceleration in the numbers, in the figures, you know what I mean? So that's very interesting, and that's why BMW also splits between the sport driving mode and the shifting mode. Here now in the S corner, yeah, it's nice, it's fun to steer actually, and nice to turn it around. It is a fun car still, yes, although the steering feeling could be better, as I mentioned earlier, but it's still fun. How did you feel in that sporty combination? Was
It's
okay?
a little bit heavy,
Yeah, something. And so, yeah, there are some vehicles.
Is strong, yeah.
Some vehicles where Leah is like really enthusiastic in cornering, and some not at all. And this one, yeah. As I look at her face, like the Leah meter on the face, it's something in between. Let's accelerate one more time out here. Nice ambient lighting in the tunnel. Yeah, so the 20 engine here will do the job most of the time, but it's not the most powerful one. So if you want more power, you can also go for another one. In the US, it won't be a problem since you also start with the 30 engine with a little bit more horsepower. Of course, it's the same base engine as for that. Here now we have some transverse joints also on the road. Suspension is doing that fairly well. In the sport mode, you notice it is really stiffer. But the question is, when I go back to the driving mode then here, and by the way, switching it, so there's two possibilities. You click the driving modes button below there in the middle console, then you switch it in the screen, press here, or you turn this like this eye controller. So there's another possibility where you don't have to, but you confirm in the screen, but you always have to confirm it somehow. So there are always these two steps. I cannot like press the mode button and then when I press it again, it goes away. You know, I cannot go through the modes with pressing the mode button once again. And I feel that's not such a good decision, you know, because it kind of distracts you when you want to switch the driving modes here, and that's not a good thing. Here the adaptive suspension, when I'm in the normal driving mode then, is way more forgiving. Here also the combination with the 19-inch wheels and winter tires already. Kind of cold outside meanwhile. Oh well, today not that cold because the sun is shining, but in general, of course, winter is already here when we're filming this review. So the comfort suspension setting would be also my favorite one for long-term driving. And here, once again, 150 kilometers an hour, like 80 miles an hour. It's really good. So good as for noise insulation, not too loud. The GLC is very good in that as well, so I'm really looking forward in how the differences are in that respect. Then I can set the cruise control, also with the most sophisticated assistance systems, here left thumb. And now also with an active lane keeping assist, and that is done in a very smooth way, so that's pretty cool. Here also automatic lane changing is possible. I just set the turning indicator, then the vehicle did it basically by itself. Pretty cool. So very sophisticated assistance systems. Blind spot monitor is in the side mirror, and when I hit the turning indicator, then I get an additional flash of the blind spot monitor. So this is actually everything really nice. And also when you hammer in here the turning indicators, that gives you a very satisfied
Sounds
feeling.
nice, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds nice, it feels nice, and it motivates BMW drivers actually to use it. Because yeah, there is always like this meme out there that BMW drivers don't use the turning indicators. I cannot confirm that actually personally, but some do. Yeah, but still it's a fun meme definitely. Here now in the normal personal mode in the corner, the vehicle is still fun to drive, definitely, yeah. Besides of the, you know, lacking steering feeling. So good setup overall, and also from the comfort, from suspension. You feel, however, that BMW is sticking true to their claim that it's still a sporty SUV. So it's not that we are like floating around and so on. So they always try to make sure that it still feels sporty, that it also feels sportier than the other brands. And it was kind of the case in the previous generation, and even more so, I'm looking forward how it relates now in this comparison than to the GLC. When you're driving slower, by the way, when you're like turning in the basement garage around, searching a parking spot in the city and so on, then like this thing what I criticize with the steering feel is not that relevant here, because now everything just feels soft. You rather tend to feel that when you're driving on the motorway and, you know, want it just to be a little bit more, you know, reactive in a way, and you want more contact with the vehicle. But here now in city driving, it's absolutely fine. Here, by the way, it's also like a situation where you feel that here when the cars are passing by, we are stationary now, and it's really silent in here. Really relaxing. Just look over to Leah, and she's relaxing, nice. And I can just confirm again, these fabric seats here are really comfortable. Yeah, in the US, you start with the perforated leatherette, the Veganza anyway, and most people will go for that one, will have the highest take rate. But here in Europe, we have the fabric seats here as a choice as well. And the good thing is, yeah, I mean, they're also really comfortable. They are also breathable. They keep cool. They're not getting too hot. So I really like them. I like both. You know, the perforated leatherette is great at BMW, and also these new fabric seats are great. Not everyone feels that fabric is premium enough in a way. I cannot confirm that just from the personal experience, but I can still understand it. And hey, if you want something to wipe clean easier, then you can go for the red. Although this special fabric is not too bad in the in the wiping thing and so on. But overall, good comfort from these seats here, and they're also holding us tight enough. Also, sometimes I look over to Leah, and when the seats are not tight enough, then she's like flying all over the vehicle, and that's of course not ideal. Yeah, but these are actually fine. So seating wise, BMW once again does a good job. This is also something that we have observed like all the recent years, that BMW has really stepped up the game as for the seating comfort and materials on the seats and so on. Yeah, we also have some materials like here at the inside doors which we didn't find too nice. So that's always the pro and cons we find here with the vehicles, definitely. Controlling the vehicle while driving, well, we had that thing here with the driving modes, which I think could be easier. Most of the time, probably you will just leave it in the normal driving mode. And the same probably also counts for the climate unit, because, yeah, I mean, switching the temperature back and forth, that's easy because it's always visible there. But then if you want to do something more, you have to go to the climate unit there and then activate something there. And yeah, probably just leave it 22 degrees Celsius, 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and automatic, and that's it. So some things that you would like to control on your own, you're more or less forced to let the car do it automatically, because the user interface is actually worse than before. That's of course something yeah, I'm not really happy with, but the driving feeling itself is still once again very good with the X3. But how does it compare to the GLC?
Does it work?
Wow. Look at that. That is the rear axis steering in action. So this U-turn here is super tight, and there's hardly any vehicle, no matter of the size, that can do this U-turn without going like all the way around. And that is thanks to the rear axis steering. So here we have the optional air suspension in the package together with the rear axle steering. That is actually the most amazing thing about this vehicle for what you feel in driving. And soon we're going to do our standard acceleration. But I want to really start with this one because this is making the car so special, and in that case it really sets it apart from the X3. The thing is now that this package is only available in Europe. You cannot even get it in the Northern American market. And that will also have an effect on the price. So here indeed, in Europe, you can spec this one here, the GLC, so much more with so many more features, and the price difference will be bigger, but also the technology difference. Yeah, that's really interesting, definitely. And you feel here, when you have the air suspension, you have a more floaty feeling. They also have a setting where you still feel the air suspension. It's not super wobbly or something that the car shakes up, but you still have, you know, like a good compromise. It's not, say, like too soft, but it's soft enough that you still feel you're driving an air suspension. I think that's also really important. Now we go to the sport mode, and yeah, the button here in the lower part is not the best one for that, maybe, but at least
it's a button.
Yeah, it's a button. It's a button still, even though if it's like the whole thing here, and
this one is big enough to click.
Yeah, either in the screen, or you can just click it and keep clicking it. That's actually easier than in the X3. So here, let's go. That's 130. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I think that's enough for this vehicle. Here the GLC 300, in comparison to our X320, this is here a more powerful engine. It's also quicker in the acceleration. They're both 2-liter 4-cylinders. This one just in a higher horsepower tune. The US 30 for the X3 would be the correspondent engine, or the direct engine comparison here to the X320 would be the GLC 200, which is not available in the Mercedes test fleet pool, so we could not get one. That is the pure reason for that one. So as for the acceleration, we just have to say, okay, this is a higher horsepower tune. What's interesting is that in like these very low RPM area, when you are in a city, the BMW engine still feels more lively in a way, you know. So like the access is a little bit easier. Here you have to push it a little bit more, but then of course in that case here it's yeah, it gets a little bit quicker than overall. Yeah, the air suspension is really cool. So if you would not have done, yeah, the thing is then the X3 can always be purchased with the adaptive suspension also in the North American market. But with the GLC then in the US you're stuck with the normal suspension, which is also not bad, but then there's not like much difference. Here now with the air suspension, there is a difference. It is a softer ride from the suspension. We also have 19-inch winter tires mounted here, so that is a very, very fair and good comparison between both. But I have to say that I would have expected here on the motorway a bigger difference. Here, however, in the sport mode, you feel it is stiffer than again, so it also changes from driving mode to driving mode. So in the sport mode, you don't feel so much anymore from the air suspension. On the other hand, you have a more direct feeling for the vehicle here. So that is helping when you're doing some lane changes, quicker speed. But let's go back to the comfort mode here and see how the difference is there. There you directly feel that it's a little bit softer once again. That would be the more comfortable long-term setting, definitely. And yeah, definitely very, very good from suspension. So Mercedes does it always very well, especially if they do their air suspensions. And that's also what I really appreciate, that if they do air suspensions, you still feel them. Not necessarily when they did these stuff like putting air suspension in AMG models, then you didn't feel them anymore. But I have to say that the X3 adaptive suspension was also very good. So not being an air suspension was not the biggest negative, let's take it that way. Or what would you say? Difference in suspension?
It's a little bit comfortable here, more comfortable than the X3.
A little bit, yeah, but do you feel like there's like a huge difference?
No,
right? No. So Leah agrees then. So, I mean, you sometimes you can say, hey, this one has an air suspension option, at least in a lot of markets, and that's why it's the most crucial thing. But they're both very good, the suspensions, and that's why I would not say that the X3 has a big disadvantage due to that. Let's accelerate out more. Still silent, 150. 160, 170. Nice acceleration, and the car also remains calm. Here now, like the wind nose is only picking up at 190 kilometers an hour, so almost no. Bad idea. Yeah, it did see me though. It's really good behavior of the vehicle also in high speeds here. Staying calm in the sport mode once again, a little bit stiffer from the suspension. However, the X3 still feels sportier. So
Really?
I feel that, at least as a driver. You don't think so?
No.
Interesting. Like, because I had the feeling.
The X3 was a little bit shaking up.
Really interesting. Because me as a driver, I rather felt like the X3 was a little bit calmer at high speeds in the way of, like when you're driving like 160, 170 kilometers an hour. Which car does give you the feeling you can continue that for 3 hours?
Yeah, and it was more silent from the roof end.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I was a little puzzled about that. I mean, I feel that both are silent, both vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think the X3 was more silent on the motorway here?
Yeah.
Because I mean, actually, Leah has such an excellent hearing. She definitely has a better hearing than I do. And when she says that, it does mean something for sure.
Here, picking up from the roof.
So, okay.
Maybe.
I mean, the good thing is that I mean, we have panoramic roofs on both vehicles. The big difference is, however, this one here can still be opened. And you can never seal that much, you know. So when you have like a panoramic roof that can be opened, it always is more windy, you know, like more wind noise creating. Here, this one you can open. In the X3, it's a fixed one, so that can maybe make a difference. Of course, you can also order both vehicles without the panoramic roof at all. Both are good in the noise insulation. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what he's going to do here. So now let's test like this sporty S combination here. Yeah, in the sport mode it does give me nice feedback. Oh, also really good from the steering. Yeah, very well done. I like the steering, and yeah, I like the steering better here in the Mercedes, definitely. And that's the thing we've seen in a couple of recent comparison tests. Maybe like 10 years ago it was the other way around. BMW had the way better steering, and the Mercedes feeling from the steering wheel was a little bit numb. Now it has been turned around. That is astonishing, actually. So here, very fine feeling. I don't need much force or something. That's what I said earlier. I don't need much force, but still I have good control. Let's accelerate more. There we go. Now we have some treacherous joints very soon. There's one. Still mastered very well. It's really good. But now let's go back to the normal mode. See the next transverse joints, how they are being handled. It's nicely done, yeah. Here and here.
Yeah.
But I have to say that considering it's an air suspension and winter tires with 19-inch wheels, it doesn't feel that soft. Also not in comparison to the X3. So both excellent in the suspension. But it's really not that if we have the air suspension, there would be a huge gap in comfort between the X3 and the GLC. So I would say both are very, very good in the suspension, and no one has like the very clear advantage there. But steering feel is a clear advantage for the Mercedes, I have to say. So I just like every fine nuance is being blind spot monitor in the side mirrors, by the way, as well. Then also here additional warning when I hit the turning indicator. So very good for the steering, like that better with the Mercedes. Then assistance systems, also set it here, left thumb. And then there's also here the active lane keeping assist. Also well done. Both are very elaborated. As for the assist systems, let's see, we can also do here this semi-automatic lane change. Yeah. Complaints, I need to leave my hands on the steering. Let's go one more time. So now the car is doing that. I'm just like really loose on the steering here. There we go. Yeah, so also well done. So this is both comparable, both at the very high level. We can also accelerate out further here when we are in the normal mode, of course. Here, using the shifting pedal is also possible. Some gears back, more RPM, nicely done. And The shifting pedals are really, really cool. So they give you this, I mean, this is like the AMG line steering wheel, but the shifting pedals already give you like a true AMG feeling. That's pretty cool. And reducing a little bit speed on the brakes, good feeling for it. But the overall feeling from the, like how connected you feel to the vehicle, that is better in the X3. So you feel more one with the vehicle, and as a driver, it is more engaging. So the GLC is more like, hey, let's go on this motorway trip and let the car do its thing. And the X3 is more giving me the feeling of, hey, you know, I'm this sporty SUV and I want to be driven. I still need the connection, driver and car and road and so on, you know. Small nuances, definitely, but I still feel that the X3 is more the driver's car and the GLC is more, yeah, the being driven car. Let's take it that way, with the exception of the steering feel. So I would really, really want for the best driving experience. Let's go to the sport mode once again. The steering feel of the Mercedes in the X3. Now let's see here. There's a transfer joint in the corner. Yeah, not hectic at all. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Consumption around 8 liters on 100 kilometers for both 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engines, so 29 mpg US, 35 mpg UK. So yeah, there's not a big difference as for that. And pricing also very interesting. So on the Northern American market, both start at around $50,000. And when you spec them, the X3 doesn't get so much more expensive. So you stay a little bit less than $60,000, whereas you go a little bit above $60,000 with the GLC. The X3 a little bit cheaper than the GLC on the North American market. And the reason for that is that you cannot spec so much more on the GLC on the US market, for example. In Europe, it looks a little bit different. So the entry price there, the X3 at the moment is even a little bit more expensive, but you start both at lower than 60,000 euros. But when you spec the vehicles, the difference gets really, really large. As they stand here right now, 73,000 euros for the X3, but 86,000 euros for the GLC. That is then this 13,000 euros gap. Yeah, so the GLC clearly more expensive when you equip it. And also especially on the European market where you have even more options for that. So everywhere the GLC will be more expensive, but on markets where you can get more options, the difference is even larger. Then of course it depends on how the leasing rates play out and so on. In general about these vehicles, which one would I take home? Exterior-wise, I think both work. I like a little bit more the monolithic design with the X3. Leah prefers the GLC, so yeah, that's personal preference. On the interior, I think also both are beautiful. Once again, I prefer the X3, Leah the GLC. As for that, I think the seating comfort is actually way better in the X3. It will be nicer also when you go for the Artico leather red in the GLC, but still, the X3 has a better ergonomic of the seat as well. And the space offering is more or less similar, not huge differences as for that. Driving-wise, it's also very interesting. I feel a little bit more unified with the X3. However, the steering feel in the GLC is better. Suspension-wise, the Airmatic air suspension brings more comfort in the GLC, if you can have that on your market. But if you cannot have that, like on the North American market, then again the optional adaptive suspension of the X3 is better. And overall, there's hardly a segment between Mercedes and BMW where they are coming so close. So we have done different comparisons between Mercedes and BMW. And every time I was kind of clear of the decision. Sometimes it was the Mercedes, sometimes it was the BMW. You can check out more later of that. But here in this segment here, it's once again very, very, very close. And I think there's not like a clear winner where I can say like directly, this is it. Today I have a small notch to the X3. Yeah, but it's really just a small gap and you can argue pro and con. I would not pay like 15,000 euros more for that one, you know. If the price difference is smaller, or maybe I can get a better leasing rate for a GLC in some actions or something, then it might be this one. But yeah, now the kidney says goodbye, yeah. Yes, for energy savings. So overall, I do lean towards the X3, and that the GLC is more expensive is another argument for that, but definitely a very close call here for today. What do you think? Tell me your comments, and also check out more Mercedes against BMW comparisons.